When we think about American history, there are so many stories that often go untold, especially those of the Chinese immigrants whose labor helped build this country. The 1882 Foundation is working to change that. Joining us today to share more about their important work and a major milestone tied to California's railroad history is Program Manager. We have James Shao. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Desiree. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay. So, James, let's start with the basics. For viewers who may not be familiar, what is the 1882 Foundation and what inspired the name?
Yeah, so we are a nonprofit and primarily staffed by volunteers. And our mission is to raise awareness about Chinese American history. The name 1882 comes from the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. And that was the only time in U.S. history where Congress enacted legislation that kept people of a certain ethnicity from immigrating and becoming citizens, the Chinese. And that was only rescinded about 60 years later because the US and China were allies in World War II. And so a big part of our mission is to raise awareness about Chinese American history, about this important event. And we do this a number of different ways. We collect oral histories, we do some teacher training, and
And you recently opened a new office right here in Sacramento. So why was it important to have a physical presence in the city?
Yeah, you know, Sacramento has always been historically important to Chinese immigrants. Over 100 years ago, Chinese immigrants called Sacramento the second city after San Francisco, which was the first city. And Sacramento is very centrally located to a lot of historic Chinatowns, like in Marysville, in Locke, in Fresno and Hanford. And so that's a big reason why we decided to host it here. Another reason, of course, is we've been operating these heritage tours up to Summit Camp. And we've been doing this for some years now in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service. And
what kind of programs and initiatives will the Sacramento office be focusing on specifically?
Yeah, so the heritage tour is a big one. We've been doing this for some years with the U.S. Forest Service. We are thinking about expanding the tours somewhat to different locations, like Locke and Marysville. And we also are exploring the idea of maybe opening up an interpretive center up there.
Wow.
And also, I think one of our focuses is to sort of mitigate some of the damage that's been done to the landmark because of graffiti. A lot of people have been tagging the area up there. And of course, opening up the Chinatown allows us to help revitalize Sacramento's Chinatown, which is one of our goals.
Yeah. And are there any events coming up that the community can get involved with or even attend?
Oh, absolutely. So August 9th is the big upcoming event. That's going to be our office launch. It'll be held at the Celine across from Chinatown Square. At that event, we'll have art exhibits, history exhibits, free refreshments, open to the public, so everyone's welcome. It's an all-day event from 10 to 5. And then, of course, the day after, we have a guided tour up at Summit Camp. And then in September, we have our heritage tour, the formal one we do every year. So that one is coming up, and all that information can be found on our website at 1882foundation.org.
A lot of events that people can get involved with.
A lot of events. Those are just some.
Just some. And then you've also been working on a huge milestone. The Summit Tunnel has just been named a National Historic Landmark. What is the Summit Tunnel, and why is this recognition so significant?
Yeah, so the Chinese American railroad workers, they built 15 tunnels when they were making the Transcontinental Railroad, and the Summit Tunnel is the highest and longest tunnel. And 26 acres of land around that tunnel has been designated as a National Historic Landmark. And so it's historically significant because of the 2,000, almost 2,000 Chinese workers, American workers who died making the railroad. And the Summit Camp itself, that's where the Chinese railroad workers lived and worked. It's a good archaeological site that shows, you know, where they lived and what it was like when they were living there.
Right. So all the more reason for our viewers to learn more about it. They can come out to these many events that you've mentioned as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's, you know, it's important that this landmark, you know, it kind of reminds us of what we were able to build because the Transcontinental Railroad was so important in connecting East and West.
James, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Desiree.
Of course. And to our viewers, to learn more about upcoming events and how to get involved, you can visit 1882foundation.org.